This is the Gaming Space, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Today we are going to be looking at the A.I.E.S Aerospace mod, which adds about 80 to 90 new parts into the game that are basically kind of stock alike, and others, are real. Like, they add completely new stuff into the game. So without further ado, let's get started. And with this, I also have a few tests with the engines and the solar panels. But let's first show you guys the many parts this has to offer. So you have all these little probes here. Like this one, this is an orbiter with massive. This is like a little crew pod with it's about the same mass as this. It's like the exact same thing as this. It's just aesthetically different. And then we have this one, which is the Neptuno, which is 0.25. The Exploron 5D, which is 0.22, has 120 electric charge. This is 30 electric charge. This has 20 electric charge, and there's a massive 0.15. This is another kind of. It's like this is like the landing can, like this, but it's a little bit heavier. So you might have a little bit of a window to look out. I don't know if you do. But it really doesn't look like it. But anyways, we also have this cube plate, which basically has a bigger battery and has a mass of 0.3. It's like a little cube set, so you could use that for like many space probe missions or something like that. Then you have this Invest, which is a mass of 0.15 and has 50 electric charge. And is very small, like I can see. And then you have the Sondex, which is mass of 0.15. It has 50 electric charge and looks decent, but let me see what happens when I tweak scale it a lot. Oh my god. Well, actually, that looks like a respectable, build core for something. I don't know, some satellite or something. And then this one is the Maximo, which is a mass of 0.12 and has 40 electric charge and is in the I think that's a 62.5 centimeter variety. I think so, yeah. And that's all to see in the probe section. So if we go to fuel tanks, we have the A.I.E.S A5A RCS fuel, which has a mass of 0.55. It has 100 mile propellant in it, and it's in the 1.25 meter variety. Then we have this A.I.E.S CL1300B fuel tank, which is an extended version of the CL1300, and it's about the size of 1.5 of these FLT 80 fuel tanks, which is the largest 1.25 meter fuel tanks in the stock game, which is a kind of nice upgrade. But anyways, we also have this A.I.E.S K7 fuel tank, which is about the size. It's a little bigger than a Rockomax Jumbo 64. Yeah, a little bigger. And then that would be the biggest in the 2.5 meter variety. I don't think there's anything in the 3.75 meter variety. But then we have this micro min sound, which is in the 62.5 centimeter variety, and is used for probes and all that stuff. The probes that like we were showing here earlier, like say we attach it on this one or something like that, and it goes with like a very small engine, which I will come to show, which are right here. Then we have this A.I.E.S MR1 V2 fuel tank, which is about half the size. It's just a smaller version of this. Yeah, it's about half the size. Then we have this A.I.E.S MV2. It's basically a fuel tank for satellites, and probes, like say this 0.3. You can put it on there and it has a bit of liquid fuel and oxidizer, and we can could scale it up. This is using the tweak scale mod, which I might get into later. But it's a good looking fuel tank, to be honest. And then we also have, we go to fuel tanks. The A.I.E.S Orb 1 fuel tank, which is it's basically like the thing you'd use to put this in orbit, and it has a little bit of liquid fuel and a little bit of oxidizer, and it's the comparable to one of these FLT 200s in the stock game. And we also have let me see, the RCS, a 2.5 meter RCS tank, a smaller version of the liquid fuel and oxidizer tank, and a larger version. Then we have the half version like I showed you before, and then this full version. So you have varying sizes of 2.5 meter tanks. It's surprising you don't have many varieties of 1.25 meter tanks in here. But, I mean, you know, I don't know, that's the way they design the mod, so, you know, I don't... But it's good nonetheless. And finally, we also have this A.I.E.S T60 SAT prop fuel tank, which you'd only use for this satellite right here, this A.I.E.S Invest, which would go in with a very small engine, which I will show you now. Okay. Anyways, let's get oh my god, sorry. Anyways, let's get back to it. So if we sort these by mass, just to sort the largest to the smallest, we will start with the smallest, okay? So we have this A.I.E.S MIC engine, which are the very small engine you use for probes. It has 2 kilonewtons of thrust. It uses liquid fuel and oxidizer, and it has a max specific impulse of 290. And specific impulse basically means the basic efficiency of the engine. And the higher it is, the better. The A.I.E.S, yeah, these little engines all have the same specific impulse. This one has a thrust of 3 kilonewtons and consumes the exact same thing. And then this one is a side mount, which has thrust of 3.5 kilonewtons and has a specific impulse of 250 at sea level and 300 in vacuum. So it kind of looks like a little like retro motor you have on a larger spacecraft, but maybe it could be used for probes, I don't know. Then we have this A.I.E.S MODC-2, which I'm guessing you'd use for like the descent stage in a little lander, like a manned lander for the moon, or something like that. It has 20 kilonewtons of thrust and has extremely high specific impulse, 390 in vacuum. But it's only at 62.5 centimeter variety. Well, that's all there is with that. And then we have this A.I.E.S Galaxy VR2, which has a max thrust of 50 kilonewtons, and has the same ISP as this engine. And I'm guessing you'd use these for, maybe like you put it on a pod like this. No, wait, that's a little too large. You probably have this as like a second stage and maybe in a probe of some sort, but I really don't know. Anyways, we have this next is this A.I.E.S Expert 5, which has a max thrust of 170 kilonewtons and has an ISP of 320 at sea level and 370 in vacuum, and is about, I think, in the, let me see, yeah, it's a 1.25 meter engine, which could be useful for like doing one of these first missions, like having a capsule on here or something like that, I don't know. But it's comparable, these engines right here are comparable to, let me see, yeah, these engines right here. But anyways, we have the A.I.E.S Constellation C6, which has a max thrust of 200, and the most important part about this is that it has thrust vectoring. Well, like it would be a great in-stock version, because these guys, this is a mass of 1.5 and it's cost 950. Then it has vectoring, but these have vectoring and it costs a lot less. I mean slightly less. But I mean, this you wouldn't want to get until until you didn't really care about funds. But you know, that's how this works. So anyways, this has a thrust of 200, and it has the same ISP, and basically looks exactly the same, with little minor tweaks and changes. And then we have the A.I.E.S Vulcan VR1, which is the very first thrust vectoring engine developed by A.I.E.S, and it has max thrust of 220 and is a little higher ISP in vacuum, and looks pretty nice. You know, it's a nice different texture from the white differing from the black and all that stuff. Then we have where is it? Wait, just give me a minute. Then we have the A.I.E.S Poodle VR2, which is a max set thrust of 550, and has the ISP of 350 in vacuum. It's also really comparable to this, but it's a lot larger. It's about the same size, you know, but it has a little less. I mean, it's not really better than this, but it costs a little less. I mean, it has less thrust, it has less ISP, but it still is a little bit more cost effective. And it kind of has that Gemini look, on the first stage, for the first stage, you know, that twin engine configuration. But anyways, for the final engine, we have the A.I.E.S Mongol MP500, which is a max thrust of 1250 and has an ISP of 330 in vacuum, which is in that quad configuration, which I'm guessing is about 4 of these just stacked together, which it exactly looks like in thrust and everything else. But without further ado, let's go to command and control. In command control, what I like about this is that there's smaller RCS thrusters with the consumption rates going along with it. Like these micro RCS thrusters use 0.22 per second max, while these guys use about exactly the same. Weird. I just noticed this. Except these guys, the micro RCS thrusters, would use 0.0458 per second max. But that's all the show, except these advanced SAS, which are just either enlarged versions of the SAS or smaller versions of the exact same thing as these. They're just mainly, really the point of the A.I.E.S mod is to add stock parts with different aesthetics, which kind of look a little better than the original stock parts. Because they basically do the exact same thing, but just look better. So if we'll go into structural, we have all these little support struts and cubic octagonal strut. We have a decoupler here in the 1.25 meter variety, 0.625. But the only reason it went up was because of tweak scale. We have another decoupler, which is in the 1.25 meter variety, a side separator, another 60.5 centimeter decoupler, and then we have these side decouplers, which look a lot better than the original ones. Like this looks a lot better than this for some reason. I don't know why. And maybe it's because it looks more like hollow and more like actual structure. But without further ado, we have the A.I.E.S L8 base plate, which you use, like it says, you use to hold experiments on there and everything. Like you have you'd use this to, if we can just get that on there. If you go to science, we have put the Gravity detector here, something here, blah 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 blah. But it's not the point. Anyways, we also have these base decouplers, which this is a interstage in the 1.25 meter variety. So basically, the difference between an interstage and a decoupler is that an interstage actually gives the height to the engine, which gives it like, you know, hides the engine from like the rest of the being exposed. Like sometimes if you blend, like in stock, that automatically does that for you, but sometimes the non-stock engines, it doesn't do it, so you have like this gap. And I bet that's what these interstages are used for, and these many attachment points that are along here. But also they have these in no, they just have them in a white and black variety. I thought they have them in the 2.5 meter version too. But then we also have these fairings, which are made redundant by the procedural fairings mod. I don't even know why I'm looking at them, but I mean, it's cool. Then we have another SON base plate, which is basically a circular version of this base plate, which is hexagonal. But we also have these fairings that nobody really cares about. We have a separator, basically like exactly like this one, in the 2.5 meter variety. We have a fairing base. I don't know why it reduced itself. But we also have now we have the 2.5 meter variety decoupler. Well, not decoupler, the interstage. Then we have another fairing, a fairing base, which is a lot smaller for the 1.25 meter parts. And then we have, I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. And all the code structural. There's nothing in aerodynamics. But if we go to utility, we have the A.I.E.S Bayard battery. Basically, it's the exact same thing as this, but it just is aesthetically different. So basically, it's your preference. Then we have this Escalar mobility enhancer, which again is basically the exact same thing as, if we can find it here. Where is it? Sorry, just give me a minute. Yeah, this thing, the Pegasus 1 mobility enhancer. They're basically exactly the same. And then we have the A.I.E.S Escalar mobility enhancer, which is a bit different. I mean, wait. And it actually has an animation, which is really cool. I mean, it's just, all this mod is basically aesthetics. Like, I mean, there are some parts here and there, but mainly it's aesthetics different from the stock one. Like, if we go here, this is basically the exact same thing as the other solar panel that's right here. Then we have this little tiny landing leg. Then we have a Saguto laser, which basically lights up the area which you're landing on, which is very useful if you're gonna land on the night side. Like, I remember so many times I'd land on the night side of Minimus and I would not land correctly because I didn't have stupid lights. Like, it's something everybody forgets is lights. But anyways, we also have this landing strut, which looks like that when it's deployed. It kind of goes out wide. And then we have multiple varieties of solar panels, which I'll get into later. Then we have this mini RTG, which it produced the same amount. It's a little smaller in production than the other RTG, but I mean, it's like a half size version of this RTG, which is nice in some situations. I mean, when your probe doesn't need that much electricity over time, I mean, it's nice. But also we have these other solar panels, which can give us a little more power than the stock ones, which only give you about 2 per second, while all these vary from 3.8 to 1.9, depending on the size of solar panel you grab. But it doesn't really offer much more than that. But if we go into the Science tab, we have a lot of things to go over. So, all these basically are just different versions of the stock science units that are already in the game. Like this is the accelerometer, the thermometer, the barometer, and the gravitometer. I don't know, it's not how you say it, but whatever. And then we also have this little EXP antenna, which all it does is basically lets you transmit data, but there's different sizes, and as you can see, it, like this says, it transmits 0.8 megatits per I didn't even say it like that, but it sends that much data per second. And if you ever play Kerbal Space Program, you can see when you get science, it says if you want to transmit it, it takes a 12 MITS's or something like that. And so basically this is what you would use to transmit it. And see, it transmits 10 electric charge for every 8 MITS it sends. And then we have this antenna, which sends in 1.2 MITs per second. I'm just gonna call it from now on. And then we have it requires 12 electric charge per second. Then we have this one, which produces sends 0.6 MITS per second and uses 15 electric charge. Then the modified stock one sends 0.36 MITS per second and it requires 20 electric charge per second. And then we have another modified one which sends 0.6 MITs per second when it requires 12.5 electric charge. And then we have this one, which is basically the same thing as this one, but it uses a little less electric charge. And then we have this one, which is 1.7 MITs per second and uses 13 per packet. Then we have 0.6 and this uses 16. Then this one sends out 0.32 MITs per second and uses 12 per packet. I know these aren't as good, but the way these work is that this has a shorter range than this. And it's basically like a little version of Remote Tech. I mean, this is Remote Tech compatible, but I mean, it's like a stock-alike version of Remote Tech, as you can see, because these have little different ranges and everything like that. But without further ado, let's test the engines that I showed you earlier. So this is engine test 1, and it has all the large engines that we reviewed earlier, and we'll see what they look like when they ignite. So anyways, this is the yeah, I know it's nighttime, but I was working on a mission to go somewhere, like to go to the moon. But anyways, this is the largest engine. As you can see, it gave quite a kick to the test stand. Then the second largest, 550 kilonewtons. You can see the color from this change as this is like a yellow orangish. This is like a pinkish. Then we have this one. It's basically the exact same color, and the exact same. The only thing I don't like about the combustion on this engine, it ignites behind it, and so you can see this is the A.I.E.S Mongol, Padu. I don't know. You're not gonna remember any of these names. Orbit, and the Vulcan, and the Constellation. But anyways, yeah, that's more like Vulcanist. I know. Let's see what happens when this reform. Let's see what happens when we drop the test down. Whoa! What the crap happened there? Well, anyways, let's revert the flight to the vehicle assembly building. Let's show you the the second set of engines, which are the smaller engines, which are used for probes and all of such. And so we have the A.I.E.S the Galaxy engine, the MODC, and these little 3 or 2 kilonewton motors. So let's see what they look like. Anyway, so the first one, it has that same kind of texture as the other 5. That has the same texture, but a lot smaller. That has a little bit of a different texture. It has more of like that monochrome texture. And then the next one, yeah, it definitely has a monochrome engine texture. That one too, and then this one. They basically look like monochrome engines, and this one kinda does, and these guys look kinda the same as the others, and not very much of a change there. So let's revert the flight and show you what the power and what you call it? Where is it? Where's my test 3? There it is, right here. Yeah, this has solar panels. Oh, this has solar panels and landing legs. So you'll get to see what these look like when they're fully deployed. At least most of them. So as you can see, this guy is totally just inside it. And then if we extend this one, you can see these extend a lot slower than the stock ones. But anyways, I kind of like the look of it, and it's not really. I mean, it can rotate, but it's not because it's dark outside. So let's time warp, to see when this will. Yeah, see, now it's turned over to get to the sun, but the thing, I just like that triangular shape, which the stock panels do not have. But anyways, we also have these landing legs, which this is like a probe size. This is like a one-man capsule size, and I like the height. The thing I mainly like about this is the it looks actually like hydraulics going down. Like the stock ones look not realistic at all. And these guys are your really big landing legs, which also have the hydraulic animation. The only difference between these two is the color. Like this one's like grayish, this one's yellowish. And so that's all to say there is about that. So let's go back to the VAB and show you the communication dishes. And as you can see, for the other ones, I used a Gauger segment, but this one I used a I-beam, and I scaled it up to 400%. But let's see what these dishes look like. Oh wait, this isn't controllable. I forgot about that. So the way to make it controllable, all I have to do is add a mech jeb unit. That's it. And so we can see what these dishes look like. Alright. So here's the probe size one, which all it does is extend that little antenna out. This one basically does the exact same thing, but a little bigger. This one does and then we have this one, which has a kind of cool animation going through it. This one is a station. Oh wait, this one isn't stationary. And I kind of glitched it through. So that's my bad. Then we have this one, which kind of looks like a flat disc, like a flat pancake, pretty much. And then we have this one, which, if we can see it, also kind of looks like a flat pancake. While, then we have this one, which is a really big but stationary. And basically the same exact thing with this. This is the biggest one that moves. So, like it says on the description, it can get you about as far as Duna. And as you can see, these have really cool animations. And with that, I am Gaming Space, signing out.